All right, hello guys, Brian here. I just wanted to cover a couple of topics. I mentioned a while back about kind of unique banking that I had talked about, and through UPMA, and getting just kind of testing this out with as using it kind of like a quasi banking account or like a checking or savings account type of deal. So I did get my debit card in. I kind of just blocked off my personal data, of course, which most of us on the back. But and so I did get my TrueLink Visa debit card. So I just got that in the mail today, and I was kind of looking through the, kind of all the like the fees, things like that. And most of it's pretty reasonable. I will say that there is at first I think it used to be a $10 monthly fee when you activate the card. But I noticed on here that it's actually now it's $12. So it looks like that had gone up a little bit from what it was previously and stuff. So and there is, if you do in-network ATMs, you can do free cash withdrawals, but it is a certain all-point ATMs. Otherwise, there is a small fee, $1.50, or if you do a bank teller withdrawal, $4 fee there. Balance ATM balance inquiries 50 cents. So there's some things. There's definitely some cost. Replacement cards are $5 and stuff. So nothing too crazy there. And I think even the limits on here, I don't see anything too crazy. But maximum card account balance is $20,000. You can have 5,000 total per day in terms of direct deposit transfers from your bank account, which is, I think, well more than reasonable. Bank to card transfers, 20,000 total per month. So stuff like that, unless you're dealing with like massive amounts of numbers, which I'm definitely not dealing with that kind of money. And stuff. So now cash withdrawals daily, there is some limits there, 500 per day. Cash withdrawals monthly, 3,000 for the month. So there are some limits on the cash side of things. But then again, you could also be, if you're using this to buy metals or stuff, then you could also use the card. Now there would be that 3 or 4% hit that you're probably going to take for doing the Visa transaction. So you do have to kind of keep that in mind if you're going to use the card for purchasing metals and stuff as well. So, but I'm hoping to test it out, and I've only put a little bit of money on here. I don't have a whole lot, so I'll have like basically, right now there's nothing on it yet. I've got to actually call. I got to call up UPMA this week and have them move over some of my gold backs, and so it can take up to 24 to 48 hours to convert like my gold backs into cash. So. And I'll probably just put on there I don't know, probably I only have it's like $60 I have on there right now, again, just to test this out. And so I may move like $40 or something just on here and test it out, see the process, how long it does take in reality, and then once I get the green light that it's active on there, then I plan to test this on just basic shopping, things like gas and shopping, those kind of things. Initially, just to see is it working? Am I running into problems? And is it not processing payments? That kind of stuff. So I just want to test it out before I put any kind of real money into it, just so I'm comfortable with how it works. And does it work at restaurants? Is there certain things it doesn't work on? Okay. So I am still playing with that. So I hope to have an update maybe by next week or so on kind of how I feel about it. But do keep in mind, so there is that $12 monthly fee when you have the card activated. Now, one trick you can do if you primarily want to use UPMA more as a savings account in metals, then you can actually, if you're not going to use the card, you can actually deactivate this and you can keep your money in your account, whether you have some in cash, some in gold backs, gold or silver. You can divide that up however you want, and then you can have it sitting in there to spend whenever you're ready. Okay, and then you can go back and you can call back in and reactivate your card. Then that monthly fee will apply, but then you can spend it. So one idea is there, if this does work, if I want, I can go ahead and turn off the activation on the card. I still keep the card, and it's still good technically. It's just not active. And then I could use that. I could put money back, and then whenever I'm ready, if I need to use it, then I can call back up and reactivate the card, and then I would just move money back onto this through UPMA, and then I'm good to go. But there will be some delay there. That's the only thing. So it won't be as convenient, obviously, and stuff. Now, I did ask customer service the other day about, are they looking at an option to be able to just log in online and move money onto the card? And they said they are. She didn't have an ETA on that being available, but that would be really nice, because right now you pretty much have to call or email in order to move your funds. Now you can move it on the website. I can log in and I can move funds, I can basically put in a request to move it from, gold and silver to, different asset classes. But that's, that's kind of limited on what you can do. And then even, getting money to them from a bank, you can do wires, you can do checks, you can do, really the fastest, last I talked to them, the fastest, other than a bank wire, other than that, then I can do a money order type of thing through just have the money order sent straight to them with my account information, and that's one of the faster ways that I've gathered to do it. So another drawback on this, I did ask about if there's any way of doing direct deposit. Their only way to do something similar to that is doing more of like a bill pay, like through a bank. So you'd have to kind of do it through a bill pay service type of thing through your actual banking institution, and then you can set up a certain amount every month to be applied, or however often, every 2 weeks or monthly, to automatically go from your checking account into your UPMA account. And then you would tell them how to divvy that up on how much gold, silver, or gold backs that you wanted, that type of thing. So it's kind of a way, but you cannot do it straight from an employer into this account. So you do have to have a bank intermediary in between, basically. Okay, so just some things that I've kind of learned in the process, and I'm still learning, and I will update on that as soon as I have an update on this. Okay. Next, and a totally different point, that's kind of going banking. As far as preps, I did want to show off this. You may see this in bloom here, and I may have to back up this. Let me see. I'll move this camera up a little bit. So I don't know if you can see this light up here. So this has a light on it. Let me see. That may be really bright, but yeah. So this is a hydroponics system that I just got from Amazon. And I'll know it's really bright, so I'll turn it off. Plus, I'm in the germination stage right now. So this is something new that I'm trying out as part of preps, and try to get somewhat prepared in the for kind of what's coming. And so so if you're not familiar with hydroponics, I'm new to this too, so I'm learning. But this tank down here holds the water. This holds 4.2 liters of water. So I've already filled that up, and this has a little bobble thing in there that kind of shows how high the water is. And so as the water decreases, this will kind of go down. But these are just little little plastic cups that you put on here, and there's little pods that go in here with the seeds. That just kind of click in there, and you put the little seeds in there, and a little almost kind of like a not like a sod type of deal that they go in there, and you drop the seeds in there. And I've got little stickers and stuff. So right now I'm growing herbs that I kind of wanted to test out, and so I've got 2 different types of basil. I've got thyme, parsley, cilantro, sage, stuff like that. Then I do have some spinach and green onions as well that I'm going to try to test out. And some of those, if they do well and they start growing too big, then you can actually use this as a starter, and then a seed starter. And then once they're kind of fully bloomed, then I can transplant it into an actual pod, and maybe the odds go up that they survive, for one thing. I don't have much of a green thumb, so this is something that I wanted to try. Also note that this one had really good reviews on Amazon on this one. I like the look of it too, but and it does come with the nutrients So when you have, that's something I had to learn on this, that you can't just put water in there and that's it. There are nutrients that they need, because normally you're going to get nutrients from the soil, but obviously in hydroponics you're kind of minusing most of the soil, other than the little pods that go down in here. So so you do have to have some nutrients in the water. Also, I use distilled water on mine, which I would recommend using distilled, and then adding the nutrients in the water. And you do have to be able to you still got to keep an eye on not only the water level, but they do recommend changing it about weekly or every other week or so, changing out the water and stuff. Also, one thing I learned, and on watching the reviews on Amazon, was like this one does have a quiet pump on here. You can't even hear this thing. I mean, I literally have to put my ear to it to even hear this thing, or I can feel it vibrating when I put my hand on here. But otherwise, I wouldn't even know this has a pump actively on. Okay, and there's a pump button up here. There's some different light settings. So this has a setting for vegetables, and there's a setting for fruits and flowers. So there's two different light settings in here, and different light formats. And then again, the pump's important though, to make sure if you're going to get hydroponics like this, make sure you got something that's going to move the water around. It's going to keep oxygen. It's going to keep nutrients moving rather than getting stagnant water. Some of the cheaper versions, yeah, you might get a cheaper price, but you're not going to have a pump, or it's going to be a very, very cheap pump, and it's not going to do much. And then in that case, you're probably not gonna, your stuff's not going to germinate, and you're not going to produce much, or it's going to produce very little. So that's some things that I've already learned, just in looking into this even the last few weeks on like hydroponics. And so it's, if nothing else, it's been a really good experience learning. And the idea too here is that this could also, ideally this is going to be for primarily my herbs, but as I said, you can kind of use this to start stuff like spinach and lettuces and things like that possibly, and then transplant it into actual pots or put it outside, whatever. And an update on that was I had tried a while back. I'd covered in one video, I had like a portable little garden thing that I had on my balcony that I tried. And since I'm in an apartment, I'm kind of limited on space and I don't have land. But I will say that experiment didn't go too well. I got like one tomato out of it. I got some of my microgreens grew very well, but then I found out that I found out bugs are a really big pest when it comes to that. So butterflies dropped their babies all in my microgreens, and next thing I know, their little baby caterpillars had devoured my microgreens. So I learned the hard way on that one. Now, I will, as I'm gonna dabble in this hydroponics here, and then I'll probably I want to start looking into also doing microgreens in my home, and try to find the best way. And I've seen a lot of videos on that kind of thing, but just trying to figure out the best space saving way of doing it, rather than having to deal with the bugs and all that, because it's kind of hard to do that when you're working full time and got a family and all that. So, but yeah, the microgreens are so nutritious that the insects will definitely target it. So you have to be careful with that. Like I said, I learned that the hard way. so, but so something I'm testing for as far as preps, and something I can do in a small space in an apartment. They do have bigger units on some of this. They can get quite expensive. Also, there's a book on Amazon I'm probably going to order. I'm just kind of looking at some of them. And some of them actually show you, there's one that's like $5 or something on there about hydroponics, and I think it kind of shows you how you can kind of make your own. So that's something to think about. So imagine if it's a simple enough system, then you can make a bigger version to where you can actually grow multiple like heads of lettuce and big bunches of spinach, things that you can actually kind of survive on if needs be. Even like then you can get into more bigger stuff like the tomato plants, peppers, things like that. You can kind of expand and do some more, maybe jalapeno, things like that you can kind of get into, that again, that kind of maybe help even sustain your family. Maybe even some berries, or something, some kind of, I don't know about blueberry, but probably maybe like an elderberry or things like that possibly. So but something I'm still looking into. And like I said, that the idea is though, is if I can get this to work, even on just the herbs alone, okay, that's going to be, less stuff that's going to come off my grocery list every other week or monthly or whatever it is. I mean, I just literally, my wife wanted, parsley, this weekend for, okay, this is on the list. So parsley, garlic, it's constantly, cilantros, all the stuff that we're rebuying over and over again. You think about it, if we stop and think, that's, quite ridiculous if we can generate that in your own home fairly easily and maybe hopefully cost effectively. This thing was about $67 by the time I paid for everything, prime shipping, so I got it shipping free, but with taxes and everything, it was about $67 on Amazon. So hopefully, if this thing will work and I can get the herbs to grow out of here for years, plus, like I said, moving, maybe transplanting other things like the spinach and the onions and maybe lettuce and things like that later, then I think it's going to be well worth it in the long run, hopefully, if it'll work. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and I'm hoping this is going to be pretty much not quite hands free, but it's going to be like, since I germinated these this weekend, other than just looking at it, I really haven't touched it. I kind of played with the lights a little bit. So that's the veggie mode, and then this is fruits and veggie mode, or I'm sorry, fruits and flower mode. So there's different lights in here depending on what mode you're on, and then I can turn it off as well. So then they have a pump. I can turn the pump off, and this pump is supposed to automatically cycle through, so it does shut off for a while and then turn back on so many hours. I think it's 10 hours a day or something like that. And the same thing with the lights as well. The lights are built-in timers. So that's something else to think about if you're thinking about buying something like this, is look at the options for the, ideally it's going to mimic the sun. Right now I don't need the lights because I'm germinating, but once these start sprouting, hopefully, then I would start turning the lights on to help that process, that photosynthesis process in there. And then, it'll mimic the sun basically. The time will mimic the sun and automatically shut off, over a given time. So that's pretty cool. Again, something kind of hands off somewhat, to where I can maybe just deal with it once a week or once every other week or so. Just check the water, maybe add a little more water, a little more nutrients, and just make sure there's not any mold or anything growing in there, that kind of thing. And I can just change out the water once in a while, and this unit will probably be fine. It should be good to go and stuff. So something to think about as far as those that are prepping and stuff. Something to think about to maybe add to your preps in your kitchen. So think about it, and yeah, keep on stacking. This one I'm not talking too much about metals today, but those are also still important out there. So keep on stacking, guys. Talk to you later.